All right, so let's continue. Pwede na ako ni ma-erase ha? Marag dili pwede. Okay. Share screen sa ako ha. Gamay lang. Mm. Okay, so may I ask if my screen is already visible on your end? Please say yes. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
ma'am.
Okay, are you good kung inana gidakon? Is it okay sa inyong part or you want me to decrease?
Okay lang, ma'am.
Okay na na. All right. So we're done with the different classifications of ganina ha, ang ako ang question was about the division of question document examination. Now, and I've also discussed this nga naatay different classes of a question document. Remember nga a question document may be disputed, but then again, not all disputed documents are question document. Okay? Because there are other examples of document that are being in question simply because they're trying to question the authenticity. They're trying to challenge the authenticity or genuineness of a certain document. One good example nga pinaka-common ana is like your holograph documents. Okay? Or mga wills di mo. Okay? Whether that will utilizes a guided signature or kung wala naggamit og guided signature pero ila ra jung gi-question if the signature that is reflected in the will really belongs to the mother or their father. All right. So again, these are the different types. I will no longer tackle this because I've already emphasized that this in our previous discussion. So now let's move directly with the different scientific method in question examination. So can you please read by Loses, the first one?
Analysis, recognition. Properties or characteristics observed or measured.
All right, thank you. So meaning to say, your analysis, this focuses on the part of kanabang identifying the different properties or characteristics of writing which can be measured. You need to remember, Manggod, do not worry on the later part. I will show you some examples. Kay itakol man na nato the different characteristics of handwriting. But para dili ta masigig up and down ani, I will just use another tab to show you. Okay? Picture? Kani. Let's try to have this one na lang. Basog dako. Basog dako. Ay, nawala man. Wait sa ha. Nawala. Okay. Klaro ra? Klaro ra, this one? Kindly stretch your phone if not. Okay. Remember cadets, nga dagdahan kaayo tang klase nga mga handwriting characteristics. Just like the right slope, the right slant, the left slant, straight, spacing, unsa pa may lain mga pen leaf, the removal of the writing instrument papunta sa paper, the pen pressure, the embellishment. What do you mean by embellishment? Embellishment refers to the decoration of your handwriting to make it beautiful. So these are all parts of your handwriting characteristics. Remember that our handwriting is composed of two characteristics. We do have the class characteristics and we do have the individual characteristics. What do you mean by class characteristics. Class characteristics of handwriting simply means that these are characteristics that are common to everybody. A very good example for that is how we how we recognize the letter B, how we recognize the letter N, and how we recognize the shape of letter V and the shape of letter P. Take note that katong first time nga gi-introduce ang form of letters to us, the truth is you and I were not writing during that time. Usa man tutoy ang gibuhat sa una. Ang atuang gibuhat sa una was merely making a drawing and recognizing the forms of the alphabet. So kung moingon si teacher, inanaon pagsulat og letter B. Class, ayohon yung straight line. So, unsa may gibuhat na to? Gina-follow. So, kanang na-learn na to nga basic forms of the letters without decorations, without adding our personal taste. That example itself belongs to class characteristics of handwriting. In progress, later on, as our brain memorize the forms of the alphabets of the letters, and by continuous painstaking effort in writing, kaya you know what? It's really true that writing is really a painstaking effort. Ganun painstaking effort. I don't know if you can still remember this. Katubang mga kuan pa mo ba? Kinder or nursery. Remember when if you are asked by your teacher or your parents to practice writing, daily mo ganahan nga naman kapoy kaayo, which is very true kay nga naman you are still you're still training your muscles and your brain to have a proper coordination so that you can really execute the forms of the letters properly. But on the later part of continuous painstaking effort, we will kind of develop a kuan kana bang automatic what's this kana bang function or response of our brain and muscle coordination nga kung mayong ganitang letter A, we know directly that this is letter A. When we say letter B, we know directly that this is letter B. And our hands automatically does the writing kay nga naman automatic response of our brain. Asa mosulod ang individual characteristics. As you continue your education and as you continue writing, kabantay mo when you were still in elementary, your teachers will let you write 10 pages, 5 pages, kaning entire green board or whiteboard kung social yung eskwelahan sa unang panahon. Kung sa may mahitabo, magproblema mo kay naay libro pero ipasulat pagod ng libro. Because that is part of training your brain and your muscles itself. So pag abot ni mo grade 5 or grade 4, abot o grade 6, that's the time that you will develop your own personal taste. Gaganahan mo when you write your name, inyo dyan siyang i-bold. That is still part of your individual characteristic. Nga kanang in-anang style, this is what you want. And this is, kuan ka na bang, can be associated to you nga kaning inani sinulatan mo ni siya imong personal taste. But then again, as we get mature and as our writing gets mature and we get mature, our preference also changes. So gikan sa elementary kakita ka sa imong classmate nga gagamit og green, red, kay numdum jud ko ana. Nadyo ko classmate when I was still elementary, gwapa, sexy. Iya pong sinulatan nindot kayo. No? Yeah, pagkaman, she will normally utilize kuan red, black, and blue. Kay kanang iyahang green, iya na pang, kapang linya-linya ba? Para i-underline, para nindot lantawon. Oh, nya kami pud suwid-suhid pud mi. Nga kay gwapo mga lantawon. So, pag-abot ni mo high school, your style of writing also changes. So, asa man na normally kuan ka na mahimong permanent naana mo sa inyong second year high school, papunta og college, your handwriting will already be the same. Okay? So, as much as possible po, your signature should be the same. Kaya nga naman, if you do have multiple signatures, you do have formal signature, informal signature, and you do have scribble signature, yeah, unfortunately, you failed to remember which of those signatures belongs to the formal, maggasto na pun mong lawyer, magpahimog affidavit that this type of signature and this another exemplar of signature is executed by one person, which is Rodriguez ingon ana. Okay? So, kanang inyong style karon nga ganahan mog nakaslant, ganahan mog single stroke, you want it cursive, you want it black style kay puro kapital, you want it manuscript kay nga naman, only the first letter of the word that must be capitalized, imong i-capital, that belongs to your individual characteristics. Going back to this one, recognition. Therefore, whenever there is a question document, okay, that must be examined, what normally our examiner or expert does is mag-collect na siya og exemplars. Exemplars is the new term nga ang karaan anang term is standard. So exemplar, standards are the same. It's just that ang word nga exemplar is a modern term. Ang word nga standard is an old term. But both of them refers to writings whose source is known. Meaning to say, kabalog yun ang examiner that that handwriting is written by Gwen, that that handwriting is written by Pilazo, Asong, so on and so forth. Okay? So, diha na mo makita sa imuhang characteristics. So, your analysis focuses more on the characteristics, on how the letters are executed, the pen pressure, the length, okay, the hiatus, because your properties or your characteristics of handwriting, these are things that can be measured and can be observed. So, mo na makita diha sa atuang analysis. Yes, Gwen? Gwen, do you have a
Ma'am,
question?
kanang about sa signature, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
Gwen?
ma'am. Kanang about sa signature, ma'am. Like, mulahi na nang inig sa maminyo na ka, ma'am, no?
Ay, okay.
Sa wala pa pud ka na
Okay,
maminyo.
maglahi ba siya kung maminyo o dili ka maminyo? It has something to do with the condition of your body. Because remember, as we get older, 'di ba, magkaminus ang atuang muscle coordination. So, in short, ang imuhang sinulatan when you were still elementary, lahi na siya if you will compare it sa imong sinulatan when you were in your high schools. Kaya nga high school, nga naman because you've already developed your handwriting. But if you will try to look at your handwriting when you were still in high school, papunta og college, mulahi na pud siya because your writing continues to develop and becomes mature. However, when you reach college and you will compare your writing after 40 years or 50 years, makita nimo that your handwriting has changed because it has something to do with your age. So as we get older, walay barog or naay mga gitawag natong natural tremor or natural variation. Okay, nga nung gitawag siyang natural, kay ikaw raman Japon ang gahimo. It's just that you do not have the old what's this strength and muscle coordination. But there are also instances nga dili pa kagulang pero your handwriting has changed. Unsa kahay posibleng rason ana? One good factor is magkasakit ka. Example, pataka mo kaon og fatty foods. Wa pa joy exercise, dalang inom og panigarilyo. De gikuan mo, giatake mo high blood. So palayo simba ko ma-paralyze ka. Nya magpapiti ka. So do not expect that your handwriting will be the same. Will be the same. Another good example, wa ka giatake pero nagkasakit ka wherein your strength is affected. So therefore, your handwriting is also affected. That is the reason baya nga no, in terms with the collection of exemplars slash standards, kinahanglan ang age jud ana should be a week before the question document was the document that is in question was written or a month before the questioned document has been written, or a year before a questioned document has been written. Pero kung wala joy choice, dapat dili mo lapaw og 5 years. Mo na siya rason nganong dili ka mo pili og standards or exemplars that are beyond 5 years. Kaya nga naman, there are a lot of factors that might affect our handwriting, such as age, such as diseases, such as accident that might affect the muscle coordination of our body. Most especially from your shoulder papunta sa imuhang, di makita, fingers. Follow-up question, Glenn. How
Ay,
about
akong pasabot
naputol,
ma'am
ano yun,
basay
pamatanan
kanang
pila. Ay,
kanang
sorry,
sa wala pa
Gwen.
ka naminyo ma.
Come again, come again. Sorry, Gwen. Gwen?
Kana akong pasabot ma'am kanang sa wala pa ka. Yes ma'am.
Yes, Gwen.
Kanang sa wala pa ka naminyo ma'am. Naamang kay signature ana ma'am na like kana imong signature ma'am then ako na bantayan ma'am kay lahi daw siya kanang mo pwede daw ka mo Mr. Pag maminyo na ka.
Ah, okay, okay. In terms, muna akong giingon ganina, that you can have as many signature as you have. You can have the formal signature, you do have the informal signature, and your scribble signature. Asa man ginagamit normally ang atuang formal signature. These are important documents. Okay, such as letters, such as imuhang specimen of signatures, imong bank account, such as tax, such as imuang signature affix in your sal. And these are all examples of important documents, public document. Nga kinahanglan, you need to utilize only one type of signature. Assuming mubalik na si mong giingon, you do have a different signature when you were still dalaga, then you've decided to change your signature kay naminyo na ka. Pwede nimo nang buhaton, but it might create predicament or conflict in the future. Most especially if you are planning to go abroad. Okay? Like for example, kani imo ang signature pagkadalaga nimo, mauna ni siya imong gipanggamit sa imong mga public and important document. Then naminyo ka, giusob nimo kay gusto nimo imong signature is kaparian, you will execute according to your new family name. Okay? So, if you will use that with your important document, kung kinahanglan na kang magpasa og mga, like for example, mo abroad ka gwen ha, example, or you will apply for a job. Dayon, paglantaw sa mga document, lain-lain og signature, that can be in question. And it already happened sa akwang student before. Okay. So, ang naitabo, in order to resolve, nag-hire siya og lawyer. Gahimo siya og affidavit stipulating that this specimen and this other specimen is executed by one person. Okay. So, kung na nato nga affidavit, those signatures of yours affix on the important documents nimo nga pagkadalaga. So, pwede na to siyang ma-recognize as your own. So, meaning to say, since you've decided to have a new signature, kinahanglang sa sunod nimong upcoming important documents or transaction, your new signature should be affixed. So, it's just for in case the same issue or the same question arises, all you have to do is to show your affidavit. Okay. Oh, like for example, tagaanta mo example, na kay PRC ID, imong gigamitan og bagong signature. Naa kay company ID, lahi imong signature kay dalaga pa kaato. So if something arises or trying to issue or to dispute whether that signature sa imuang company nga dalaga pa ka sa una o kanang imuang PRC nga signature is written by you and one person alone. So the only way to resolve that is to execute an affidavit and to hire a lawyer for that. Was I able to answer your question, Gwen?
Yes ma'am. Thank
Ah,
you ma'am.
you're welcome. Another question here is, Musani, how about naputol ang kamot, ma'am, because of the accident. Reason unsay other way para mo. Okay, okay. If that happens dong, if naputol, the next time around, palayo simbak ko, mag-suicide ka, kinahanglan, the samples or exemplars or standard that must be collected should be those as much as possible. Katunang naputol imuhang kamot, nga ba na lang imong gigamit, or imuhang tiil imong gigamit. Okay? Or gikan sa right, mahimo kang left-handed. So, mura kang gambalik og una. Are we good in this part? Can we continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Ayo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, let's proceed with the comparison. Okay. Comparison, these are the properties or characteristics of the unknown. When you say unknown, these are the question document determined through analysis. Again, determined through analysis by comparing it with the familiar or recorded properties of the known items. So when you say known items, this refers to your exemplars or your standards. So this is the time wherein the question document examiner establishes the different characteristics of the known and the unknown. Okay? Another, evaluation. So after nimo ma-establish ang characteristics of the known, which is the exemplar or standard, and the unknown, which is the question document, next thing that you will do is you need to evaluate. So in the evaluation, this is the time that you need to establish the similarities and the dissimilarities. Again, I've already asked this in the recap question. Kung naa by sufficient number of similarities to say that it is written by one person or another. The answer again is hello.
No. No, ma'am.
No,
No, ma'am.
walay
No, ma'am.
sufficient number needed. So in properties, will each have a certain value for identification determined by the likelihood of its occurrence. So it depends on the satisfaction and the what's this the intents of examination conducted by the examiner, whether with the use of handwriting examination or it could be criminalistic examination, depending as to which is ideal depending on the type of question document. Let's proceed. Now, ganina, gasigog storya about og exemplar. Okay. So, in short, your exemplar simply means that these are examples of writings that are known. Meaning to say, ang iyahang sources is established. Nga kabaluta that this writing is written by Almosora, this writing is written by Gwen, this writing is written by Brian. So, kung ma-establish ang source, that is what we call exemplar. Remember, as what I have mentioned, exemplar is a new term utilized by the QDE or Question Document Examiner. But ang old term, Ana, is standards. Remember that your exemplar or standards are very important because this is utilized for comparison purposes. Because how are you even going to say that the questioned document is written by one person or another person kung wala kay basis, kung wala kay standard of comparison? Same as, kumpara nimo si Palito gwapo, so kung naay mas gwapo pang Palito, ang tawag ana is gwapo. Kung naay mas maot pang Palito niya, para nimo maot si Palito niya, naay mas maot magyud niya, so you will say nga, ay, dili ni gwapo, kaya ako ang standard is si Palito nga mo na itsurang gwapo. So same as in question document examination, you need to have a standard in order to compare, in order to identify whether or not this writing is executed by one person or another, in order to establish the similarities and dissimilarities. Again, there are two types of standards. You do have the informal and you do have the formal type of exemplar. Okay. So, kung moingon gani kang informal exemplar, okay, didn't dapita. When you say informal exemplar, these are documents that has been executed to be genuine. So the old term ana is collected, meaning to say these are exemplars or standards nga executed by the person already. Asan mo pwede makita? If studente siya, notebook, diary, letters. So as long as the standard or exemplar has been executed already prior to the issue itself, ang tawag ana is informal. And the other term is collected. The other example of exemplar is formal exemplar. These are standards that are requested. Meaning to say, naa na ang issue, nag-examine na. Okay? Pero kinahanglan pa og more standards mo nang i-request ni nga tawhanang nga musulat mag-write according to the dictation of the expert. So, ang tawag ana is formal exemplars. Ang other term ana is requested standards. Again, the other term for informal exemplar is collected standard. The other term for formal exemplars, again, is requested standard. Okay? So, both informal and requested or formal standards are utilized by the expert in the conduct of comparison and in the conduct of evaluation. But there are also instances nga the expert will not request for a formal exemplar. Sometimes if the sufficiency of informal exemplars is enough mo na or adequate mo nang dili na siya mo request og formal. So depende na lamang on the need itself. Okay, so again, your exemplars, this refers to the known handwriting, meaning to say the source itself is established. Okay, so I will no longer discuss this and read this because ako na nang istorya. So do you have any questions or clarifications on the difference between a collected and requested? Or shall I say informal or collected? And formal or requested, standards or exemplar, naipangutana, clarifications, do you have? Do you have?
Ma'am,
Yes.
what if unfortunately the person nga kuan example cases nga mga forgery niya murag pagkahuman ana kay example nahinetabo niya din na koma siya ma'am. So unsay i-reference ana nga kuan ma'am
Again, again.
handwrite
Naa na ang issue, nana. Unsa
naa
may
na ma'am ang
nahitabo?
issue dayon pagkahuman unfortunately na disgrasya siya ma'am din na result to coma.
Mm.
So dili niya ma-execute ang kuan example if mo request sila og kuan
Okay. If that is the
specimen
case, then
sa
the
ba.
expert will result to the informal exemplar, meaning to say those documents na lamang nga executed before by the person involved. If that is the case.
Okay ma'am.
You're welcome. Anything else? How about the others? Mag-oral exam na ba ta? How about the others? Alright, so walay pangutan na. Now let's talk about the different types of handwriting. So, again, your collected standards. These are known standards or exemplar. And these are, of course, kay known man, so it is genuine or authentic. So, these are executed. Pwedeng example, ana, sa daily course of life. If you are a teacher, pwede ang lesson plan, class record. Okay, pwede in relation sa business, yung trabaho or social. Like sa una, mahilig kayo og diary. Uso pa ba ang diary karon? Murag di naman. When I was still in high school, nauso tong diary o katubang usa autobiography ba tay tawag ato? Kanomdom mo?
Journal siguro ma'am.
Ay,
Journals.
journals. O kato sa una ba that you will let your classmates sign it put their picture. Ano po itong nauso sa una when I was still in elementary
Scrapbook,
and high
ma'am.
school. Slumbook may tawag ato? Okay. And another is we do have your requested standards. Meaning to say these are handwritings, these are signatures nga executed upon request. So normally this is in a form of requested. So kung requested, mag-select ka ng question document examiner o words or letters in the questioned document nga mo iyahang i-dictate. Okay? Dayong, ang normally, ang ginabuhat ana is, tagaan sa og blank paper. For example, if the question document is written in a bond paper, so maghatag po siya og bond paper. If it is written using black ball pen, so maghatag po siya og writing instrument nga black. Mo na normally ginabuhat. Pagkahuman, naa siya i-dictate nga words or phrase or sentence, dayong pagkahuman, kwaon ang bond paper, storya ka jut, dayong another, give na pug another blank. So, dictate na pod, pagkatutuod kwaon, yung hatag na pod. Okay? Until masatisfied ang question document examiner. What is the main purpose? Nga nung your requested standards or formal exemplars are normally kuan dictated ang iyahang form para ma-avoid ang pag-disguise of handwriting. So just for in case your subject has decided to disguise his or her handwriting, nya kay ginatagaan man siya nimo og blank document every time you dictate blank material, paper, every time you dictate. So, if ever it is this, guys, so di na siya makahinumdum because there is a gap between dictation, so mo nang ma-reveal regod iyahang real writing. So, mo to kung giingon niyo ganina, depende na lamang on the need to have a requested or formal exemplars. But if it is not needed, normally, the expert will not resort to this one. Only if the need arises. Okay? Another is you do have your post-literatum exemplars. So this is another. Di ba ang requested, you only give your specimen if it is requested. Again, in the requested standards or formal exemplar, you only give your writing or you will only undergo the dictations of writing if you are requested. Pero, with your post-literatum exemplars, lahi ni siya. Because you give your writings even if you are not requested. So these are writings that are produced by the subject after the evidential writing have come into dispute and solely for the purpose of establishing his contention. So another definition of this one, kani. Your post-litem motum, please stretch your phone if you're using a phone. Kaya di na siya mapadako. So your post-litem motum, okay, exemplar is a Latin word for after a lawsuit is started. Meaning to say, na, on progress na, napunta na sa court, examinations were conducted. And then the litigant or the witness may not create evidence to prove one's case or testimony, as in voluntarily writing an exemplar to prove one did not write a dispute handwriting. Meaning to say, wala ka gi-request to provide your handwriting pero you've decided to voluntarily, no? Voluntarily provide your own handwriting para to show your contention nga you did not produce this disputed document. Another definition, tayo sa gamay lang. Asa ko to ron? Okay. So your post-literatum, again, it's a Latin word which literally means after suit is moved. So in English, it can be taken as equivalent of both after the dispute has risen, mean to say na ang kaso, or after the litigation has begun, meaning to say gasugod na ang case. So, ingon ana. So, if someone wishes to survey a relevant case says from another jurisdiction, dini siya maong. So, mura to siya meaning ato that you give voluntarily your sample or exemplar of your handwriting before After nagsugod ang examination or after napunta sa korte ang kaso or question document in dispute. Questions, clarifications? Ayo, are we
Ma'am,
good? Nagkasinabot rata diring dapita?
yes ma'am. Yes ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, wala na record.
Which one?
Kani nga kuan ma'am, klase.
It is recorded ay.
Ah, okay na ma'am.
Oo.
Okay,
I
sige, di na.
I decided not to use this one diri kay kani bang recording diri kay dugay magud mo generate. Mga 2 days pa usa mo generate. Dugay kaayo. So kani na lamang screen recorder. So naatay mga pangutana diring dapita wala ra. Okay na ta? Okay, so let's
Ma'am,
go. Yes.
sige, anya na lang ma'am.
Go ahead. What's your question?
Kuan ma'am, regarding sa question document kay pwede man na siya mahimong evidence ma'am sa
Ang
so
question document.
ang ang result sa examination ma'am ba?
Yes, the result of the examination is what we call a scientific evidence.
So it is conclusive ma'am sa
Yes, the result itself is the scientific
okay.
evidence, meaning to say the report and that's testimony of the expert is already considered as evidence. Remember that in your forensic chemistry and toxicology nga subject, there are different kinds of evidence. There are real, there are scientific, circumstantial nga type of evidence. So since kani gi-undergo ni siya og scientific or criminalistic examination, so this can be categorized as a scientific evidence.
Okay ma'am.
All right. Anything else? Okay. So now let's talk about the disadvantages of a requested writing samples or mga formal exemplars. So request writing taken after the incident may not be as close as the date of the question writing as the informal documents executed in the normal course of business. So the court consider request writing taken after the fact as self-serving and may not allow it. So, some writers will deliberately disguise, muna kung giingon ninyo, the primary reason why, in terms with the collection of the requested standards or formal exemplar, kinahanglan jud siya in a form of dictation with interval. Ngano man, because ang common nga disadvantage ani is that the subject itself or the writer itself tends to disguise their handwriting. So munang, in order to somehow discover or eliminate the possibility of continuous disguising of handwriting, maunang in a form of dictation. Another, suggestions for taking writing, request writing are covered later. It may be difficult or impossible to duplicate writing environment of the suspect document in order to obtain a comparable standard. So the writer may not be available to request writing or circumstances may have caused the changes that make it impossible to obtain the similar request writing samples, which is very true. Because you need to remember, we people do not write the same way all the time. Mo ba yatong ako apong gi-emphasize ninyo, even you are asked, even if ka na mag-open mo og bank account, you are asked to provide 3 specimens of your handwriting executed simultaneously. But if you will try to compare your first and your second signature, it does not look the same. If you will compare it to your first, second, and third, dili po siya pareha. But ikaw ang ga-execute ana. So mo na siya giingon nga mga natural variations na to. We do not write the same way all the time, making the establishment of the owner of the writing difficult. Mo nang lisod kayo ang handwriting identification. Simply because we do not write the same way all the time. Masayon pa ang criminalistic examination. sa question document examination. Because all you have to do is to use chemical, all you have to do is to use light, all you have to do is to measure. But when it comes to handwriting identification, it's quite difficult because you need to have a sufficient amount of standards. Nga as much as possible, those informal, or shall I say, formal mga exemplars should be executed using, as much as possible, using the same material as to the question document. So if the question document is written using bond paper, hala, pamulong og informal, written in a bond paper. Yeah, kung black ball pen po, look for exemplars that are also written using the black ball pen. So in ana ka, imo na lisod good siya. And don't you know nga whenever you are happy, your handwriting is different. Whenever you are sad, your handwriting is different. You're sick, your handwriting is different. When you are nervous because you did not study and there is a quiz, grabe kayo ang hesitation or unusual stopping of your handwriting nga naman and the blotting of ink nga naman kay gapaabot pa man kasi mong tapad kung unsay answer or unsay spelling. O, 'di ba? Mo nang kami, dali kay na mo mahibawan ay gasuwiran na rani. Kay nga naman or naduwid rin nga naman. Grabe kayo ang retouching of answer or grabe ang retracing or unusual retracing of the strokes. So do not worry those terms of ours, retracing, hiatus, hesitation. We will discuss that individually so that you can really appreciate our class. Okay? So now let's proceed. So, Moto, so, suggested procedure for taking request handwriting standards in all types of question document problem. So, let the subject sit sa para nis requested requested or formal exemplar. Let subject sit in a natural position at a table or desk with a smooth, yes, kinalang smooth. Because if it's rough, it also affects the handwriting. Kanang next, furnish subject with paper and writing instrument similar. Muna kung giingon nyo, similar to those in question. Okay? So, kung ang gigamit band paper, you use band paper. Kung sa may gigamit band paper, short or long, so you need to use the same size. A4 or dili. Unsa man na ay line or walay line in ana. So, the material should be the same. From the paper, abot sa writing instrument should be the same. Never permit the subject to see any writing of yes, mo biya nang it should be in a form of dictation. Kaya nga naman, if the writer or the subject is planning to disguise, at least wala siya idea. Another, it should be dictated. So, dictate the material to be written. Motong niingon ko nyo ganina, nga before the schedule of the, kanabang getting of the formal exemplar, kinahanglan, the expert should be able to examine the question document and identify what words and letters should be dictated. Okay? So, if the question material is should be hand printed. So, give no assistance in the spelling. Correct. So, i-dictate ra good. Dictate at a rate of speed which will produce the subject's natural writing habits. Correct. So, muna akong giingon ganina. Now, after dictation, you need to remove each specimen upon completion of the number of sequence according to the date, time, identity, and request subject to sign each specimen. So, there should be an interval. Hatagan og blank material, i-dictate, i-remove, pahuway ka jot, ask question, para malimot siya kung giunsa niya pag-disguise yung handwriting, then give another blank document, pagkahuman, dictate again. Just make sure that each dictation should be signed by the writer or the subject to acknowledge that it is written by him. Make sure when you do that, kinahanglan, there should be the date, there should be the time, and the name and the signature. Another, observe all writing done by the subject and indicate any attempt of disguise. Okay? So when you say disguise, you willfully, willfully alter your handwriting. And whether subjects appear to be normally right-handed or left-handed. Okay. Questions, clarifications do you have? Okay.
Ma'am, how about ma'am kan kuan ma'am? Basa yang kamot ma'am. Maka-affect pud na siya ma'am.
Yeah, yeah,
Kanang
yeah.
basaon bag kamot ma'am.
Yeah, it can also affect dye because it might produce the unwanted blotting of the ink or kanang mga unwanted aberration of the fibers of the paper kay singot kag kamot ingon ana. Pero na uban kasing tanon kay kamot no.